We're sitting here talking before we start, and all the good part of the seminar is already covered. This is the Homebuyer Seminar. We do it every week. I'm Bill Gross, at Bill Gross Probate, along with my good friends.
Patricia Castillo.
And
Shannon the lender.
we're talking about the effect of AI in the business. And Shannon pointed out how, of course, the professionals, we look at, technique, contracts, and marketing. And then the soft skills that are going to be more important, how we deal with customers. But Shannon was pointing out how buyers need to really, in the face of AI, the difference is still going to be human. The difference is still going to be their character. Talk about that a little bit, Shannon. I think you hit right on the button.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of going based on what you're saying, Bill, is on the real estate professional side, us real estate agents and lenders, we're going to need to go past the technicals of getting someone qualified, past the technicals of giving someone a property, just sending them a list. Mm-hmm. It's going to be, what are the soft skills that are going to set us apart? And now, as a first-time home buyer, if you're watching this, you're a first-time home buyer, what soft skills are you going to need outside of having a job, having the down payment, outside of having the credit? What are some things that you're still going to need that are not talked about on paper? And I was just going, and obviously Bill and Patricia let me know, what else to add to this. But for sure, you're going to need some grit, because this is not, I always tell people, buying a liability is quicker than buying an asset, right? So you're buying a car, you can get in and out in a day, right? Like buying a house, it's not a day process. It's never, it's something worth having. Like, shouldn't be that easy, but grit is one, patience is another, managing your expectations in terms of what you're gonna, you're getting into. And then Bill said commitment. You're gonna need to be committed to this process and committed to owning real estate. Am I missing any other ones, you think?
No, I think I might describe it a little differently, or add on to what you're saying, which is,
no, of course.
I think this is
a conversation.
I think this is a spiritual battle too, in that people are looking to use AI as a substitute for work, are going to find themselves disempowered, because life is about struggle and overcoming struggle to be better and improve. Absent struggle, we don't improve. We vegetate and we regress. And so I think that for buyers to go back to what you talk about, buyers of property, to think that just because you have AI is going to make it easy. Well, if it was easy, then it's not of value to anybody. If it's easy, you're going to overpay. It'll be easy to overpay for a property. It'll be very easy to buy a house that is not worth as much as you're paying for it, because the money is going to be designed to make that easy. The hard work of both saving money, creating wealth, buying a property, getting a good deal in a competitive market. Look what's like for stockbrokers with technology now. They just up the ante of what it takes to be successful. And so I think we should not shy away from difficult things, but use the technology to empower us, use the technology to amplify us, so that we can do the hard work, which is, I think, saving money, being disciplined financially, being committed to creating your own wealth and your own destiny financially. And it's easier said than done, but I do think that the battle of AI, where people look for it to make their lives easy, is really a self-defeating purpose. Versus, because if you want easy, just smoke pot, lay on the couch and watch football and eat pizza all day. I'd love to. I mean, I don't smoke pot and I don't eat much pizza and I don't watch that much football, because none of those are really very good for me today, and I have a fuller life and other choices. But I do think you have to be careful that what you wish for, whereas we should say, times coming forward are very exciting. I have a chance to really do some great stuff, and these technologies are going to help me, I think, leverage myself and grow and improve.
Yeah, I think for AI and what you just said, leveraging, I do use AI in my business for marketing, social media, things like that. You were talking about having AI scan a contract and point out all the key terms, right, of the contract. So I look at it like using it for streamlining things, but I know that there's a good part of my database that prefers the human interaction.
Sure.
Right? They don't want to call and get a greeting or an answering service that says, or an AI bot that says, "How can I help you?" And the bot lists keywords and they respond, right?
Who was that?
So there's also a lot of people that are not online. They're not even on email. They can't sign things digitally. And so there's a pretty large network of people that are just not comfortable with the direction, that AI is going in. I mean, it's going to continue to evolve. When buyers or sellers are looking at things online and signing something, they still want somebody to be explaining it to them and be showing them, this is what you're signing. You sign here on the X, kind of like what you were mentioning when you buy a car. You go into the car dealer and they tell you, here are the terms of your loan agreement for the car, and here's where you're going to sign. They're not emailing you the contract to sign it. So
Right.
I just think that there's still that component for us as real estate professionals where we need to have the face to face interaction with the clients, build that trust, and also be available for them to answer questions and things like that. Because some of the things could be misleading. We were talking about the online mortgage calculator, and I was talking to a buyer this weekend, and they were talking about how they estimated their mortgage payment. And I said, well, where did you get that information from? Did you talk to a lender? Or is that something that you were just trying to figure out on your own? And they said, well, we were looking at the calculator on Zillow because you can play around with those numbers. But those calculators can also be very misleading because they're not looking at your credit score. They're just kind of giving you a roundabout interest rate. They also, when you look at, the calculator, it's assuming a 20% down payment. A lot of first time buyers don't have 20%. They might have 5% or 10 or 3.5, right? So if they're looking at a 3.5% down payment versus 20%, that calculator is just going to throw them off, and it's going to actually be misleading because it's going to give them a lower payment than what it actually would be. Plus, it doesn't include things like HOA, Melrose, property taxes. You have to actually go into every field and plug those numbers in correctly so you get a
Yeah.
more accurate number.
And on the property taxes, for anyone, if you want to check it out, just Google your county property tax rate. That's a good way to kind of see what they are. It'll give you that percentage times that by your appraised value, and then divide that by 12, and you'll kind of see what the monthly estimated property taxes will be if you lump that into the loan.
I'm surprised at how few agents give their customers estimated seller proceeds and estimated buyer net sheets going in. I know lenders are required to for the loan fees and stuff,
Yeah, we are
but
required.
it just seems to me by law, but it seems to me we should be doing that before they get to the lender. And I do that on all my listings. I send a estimate net sheet to say, well, this is what I'm committing to. And I put a padding in there. And I purposely do that with the idea that I'm going to, meet or exceed what I promised my customer, or something changes, get their
Exactly.
approval to change. But most customers, I think, go into a property they never really know, and then not knowing holds them back a bit. And so I think we have the technology to do that today. That's just a lack of courage in the case of many real estate agents. They're scared. If the customer saw how much they really have to pay, they're going to back out of the deal. Well, what? By signing the escrow, they're going to be locked in and not back out? We know they back out then as well. They back out when they feel they've been taken advantage of or they can't afford something. And so I think, again, technology is great. But I remember when I used to use a HP 12C calculator to calculate payments, and I was good at it really fast. That was the current technology. But at the end of the day, it's giving the customer the comfort and confidence to move forward, and then being able to deliver on that. That's what the technology is supposed to do for us.
Yeah, and you know what? You follow a good point, because a lot of people just think it's down payment, but there are closing costs, there are prepaids. You're prepaying taxes and insurance up front. So when we're doing those things called the buyer's estimates, a lot of people are like, what are all these fees? Well, a lot of people just think down payment. There's a lot more that goes into buying a house than just the down payment. There's escrow, there's title, appraisal fees.
Homeowner insurance.
Homeowners insurance.
Yeah.
That's a new
Hey,
one.
homeowners insurance a year up front.
I got lucky in that I'm buying this house on a flip, and it's in kind of a central city area, and it's even though it's an older house, but the structure's not worth much because it is probably going to be either torn down or rehab. So my insurance is not bad, actually. I was shocked when I got the quote. Like, really? That's it? Sold. I'll take it. Can I lock it in today? I'm not closing till mid-July. So, but
supplemental taxes too. You got to watch out for that too. It's
for what taxes?
Supplemental taxes.
Yeah,
that's another thing. You have it. You're at the current value, and then hopefully, if you would have sold it, and there's a new appraised value for it. That's
it's funny you say that, because when I started the business, almost every loan had impounds on it. It was almost, I won't say it was required, but it kind of was, or I don't remember exactly if it was legally required or the lenders charge a premium to get rid of it. But the impounds collected based on their new purchase rate of taxes.
Yeah.
And so it always created the excess so that when the supplemental came, the money was there in the impound account. And consumer advocacy groups, I use that in quote marks, but really just lawyers who got paid, sued to say, well, you're holding the customer's money too long and not paying them much interest, which is true. They weren't getting much interest on 6 months worth of supplemental property tax. But after that, customers start getting those supplemental bills and not being able to pay them. If you're a first-time buyer and you move in by the skin of your teeth, and all of a sudden somebody hands you a bill for $800 or $3,000, it could be life-changing, right? It could be like, what?
Yeah, and going on that, if you impound your taxes and insurance and you lump it into your monthly payment, when you do your prepaids, we at least can go based off of what the value is going to come in at. Not right now, not what it is now, but what the appraised value is. And once the property taxes catch up, because they don't right away, they still sometimes tax you based off of what the previous, assessed taxes were. But when we do a new loan and you purchase a property, you are prepaying as if the property tax is caught up. And I have seen in certain cases, sometimes that gap can pay for supplemental taxes that come in 6 months or whatever the case is. So sometimes it still can, your impounds account still can pay for your supplemental depending on how much you've put into it. But now it's not a requirement to add that supplemental payment in there. It is not. So
well, I just think as an agent, when you calculate with a buyer, you should calculate based on their purchase rate and the fact that they don't need to put it into escrow and maybe keep it in their pocket or put it in their impound account. But let's say they keep it in their pocket, they should be aware there's going to be a supplemental bill based on that. And that's the kind of thing that you have to look at. It's tough. Look, the more detailed we get, I always feel like I always want to overestimate my customers' costs and overestimate the expenses and underestimate the proceeds so that they end up with better than they thought they would, because it's a big thing. And you buy a house and all of a sudden you need some furniture, you need a new refrigerator, you move something that you weren't going to buy, it breaks, you got to get that fixed. And then you get a bill in the mail, man. It's not, I've been there. It's not pleasant.
Yeah. And sometimes things like that do happen. So you have to be prepared. You might move into your home thinking you're not going to have any issues for a while. And suddenly you have a pipe that's leaking or it collapses in your home. You have a leak happening and you have to get it taken care of.
This is the market to get there, because I do think that you're going to have people who have a little bit of a sticker shock on the interest rates, and you have people who get caught up in the news. The reality is, I don't know about you, the market's still pretty strong. I mean, my listings, they almost all have offers at or over the list price still. And so we still have buyers, particularly at the lower level. I imagine at the $8 million house range, there might be some softening of the market. But in the houses I'm dealing with, $700,000 to $1 million, the market's still very competitive.
Yeah, I mean, and that goes for anyone out there who's watching this. I mean, people are still out there buying. So if they're finding a way, you can find a way, even if you think, hey, it's daunting. If you look on the MLS, you see transactions still happening, people still closing. So that should give you some motivation.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where if it's hard, I think you have to look at, and there's a term which is learn to enjoy the suck, because if it's hard, that means that it's valuable and means other people couldn't do it. You buy the house and other people can't, and it's hard, yet you have something that other people want, that means it's probably going to go up in value. If it's easy, it's very easy to go to a new home development, for example. You have a bunch of houses there, in bad times, they have a bunch available. You walk in, you can just buy it, you get it. But the problem is, if you make a mistake, you're upside down on the property. Here, it's a challenging process, but that's kept people out of trouble and keeps our market, I think, pretty healthy in terms of, what you should expect appreciation going forward. You probably a good solid 3-4% appreciation is a great deal for most people.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking forward to. Look, I bought a property a year ago. I told you how good it was. I got an escrow, and at the time it was the Zillow and the Redfin were like a 1.325, and today it's at 1.450. And so that house went up in value, $120,000 in a year. I didn't do anything.
Wow.
It's pretty good money. Tax deferred or tax free, depending on how you look at it.
And you're at least breaking even in terms of like the mortgage payment and the renters and stuff like that?
Well, in this case, I didn't even close escrow. I lent them money and under contract to buy it a year out. And I did that on purpose. So rather than have to deal with a tenant, I get the benefit of appreciation, but I don't have to pay. I don't have to risk that. I don't want to have a tenant. It's in West Hollywood. I really do not want to get involved in a rental situation. So it was a way to protect my interest, but also help the customer. Or the seller. They needed money, so they got money, and I got appreciation. I remember thinking, it'll go up 3%. So 1.3 million, 3% appreciation is about $40,000. Well, it went up probably about $140,000.
Wow. Yeah.
Because that's an entry-level house in West Hollywood. I'm sorry?
That's the power of real estate.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So, okay. So anyhow, I think we got in for a little bit here. Patricia, new listings, open houses, what's going on? Somebody wants to find you or wants to find a good deal in a house. How are we doing in Lancaster or Palmdale? You out there still, or is that sold?
I have one left in Lancaster. The other one's in escrow. I have a new listing coming up in Moreno Valley in Riverside in about 2 weeks. It's a 3-bedroom, 2-bath. So I'll be bringing that one to you guys once it goes live. I have another one in Cathedral City near all the golf courses and everything. So that one's listed at $559 in Riverside as well.
And we're working on listing together, have a complicated transaction in Baldwin Park. Finally on the market after about 2 years of working through legal stuff on that one.
Oh, nice.
That's 3401 Millbury Avenue in Baldwin Park. So, yes, Bill and I are working on that one together, and that one's available. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, we got some more coming too.
Shannon, is it a normal property? What kind of home is it?
It's a single family. It's a pool home. It's pretty spacious. It needs some rehab, so probably good for. Could be a first-time buyer, but it's definitely going to need some work. Yeah.
Well, there's the FHA 203K loan, guys. So that if any first-time home buyer wants it, there's a program that'll finance the rehab for you, and you just pay 3.5% of the total loan amount. So
that's a phenomenal program. I'm just always shocked. There's not more the streamlined version and the regular version. Just that those are not more steady. I think it's just because it's complicated for the lender to deal with.
It is a lot more work. You're double underwriting the property, underwriting the rehab at the same time, but it's worth it if you can get in it. I'm actually diving into one client right now doing it. So it is a little bit more extensive, but if you can do it, and for sure reach out to me if you guys have any questions on it. It is possible.
Yeah, very good. And Shannon, what's up with you? Where are you going to be? What's going on with you this weekend?
This week just work. We got I got like 3 purchases we're working on.
Nice.
A few people still wanting to refi as well. That's cash out refi. I mean, people are wanting to take out some equity right now, so that's
nice.
Another thing that I'm working on. So business is usual, honestly.
Good job keeping the rates below 7%. I know you worked hard on that this week, so keep it up. For those of you who follow the program, we blame Shan when the rates go up. It's his fault. When they go down, and it's our hard work. So, all right. So Patricia, phone number, contact info.
Phone number is 323-365-9909.
And she answers it, so give her a call if she can help her text her. And Shannon, how does somebody get a hold of you?
Yes, my famous Instagram, FUND Fund with Shannon. And then my phone number 661-317-8484. Call me. We can get you qualified in 24 hours if we have everything we need. So
you can't pull a rabbit out of a hat unless you have a rabbit. So
exactly. There you go. I love it. Oh, I love that. I'm gonna take that one.
Feel free to use that one. I'm Bill Gross at Bill Gross Probate. If I can help any way, reach out. And love to help you guys buy your next house, your first house, build some wealth. If we can help any way, please reach out. As always, make today your best day ever. Thanks so much, everybody.